15 great questions to ask on a date. In this video, I'm going to share some amazing questions to ask a guy to really build a connection, have fun, and make sure that you're not wasting your time on a dead end. It's Sabrina, your personal love advisor from A New Mode, the channel where we show you how love actually works. Breaking the ice with a guy that you really like can be challenging. It can also be challenging to break out of that flirty banter pattern and really get to know each other and think of interesting things to talk about. I feel like in this day and age, the art of conversation is just kind of dead. I mean, most of our conversations take place digitally, where we use emojis to convey emotions. So a lot of people these days are struggling with how to connect and how to really have amazing conversations. I don't know about you, but awkward silences are painful for me. And I remember when I was single and dating, I would just hate those moments where there was just this like space to fill. And I would also hate just having the same conversations over and over again. I feel like every first date is the same exact conversation, and it can just get so tedious. Where'd you grow up? Where'd you go to school? What'd you major in? What do you do? How'd you get into it? It was just, I remember there was like a period of time where I was just going on date after date after date. And I was like, I feel like I could just play a recording of myself on these dates because we're just talking about the exact same things. So a while back, years back, when I was still single and dating, I started keeping a list of really cool and interesting questions to ask, just to liven things up. And then when I was dating my husband, one night we had a questions date night where we just asked each other a bunch of these really interesting questions. And we learned a lot about each other and also about ourselves. So I kind of kept that list going for a while, and a lot of those questions ended up becoming articles on A New Mode. But for this video, I went through the hundreds of questions that I have. I picked my favorite 15. I'm gonna share them with you. I'm going to tell you why they're such great questions. So keep watching all the way until the end. Real quick, if you like this video and find it helpful, please give me a like. This is a super quick, super easy way to help me out, to help me grow my channel. And also be sure to subscribe and ring the bell so you don't miss out when I post new content. Also, if you want even more content, be sure to join the A New Mode newsletter. Our newsletter is written by me and also my partner, Eric. We share our best tips, personal stories. We answer all your questions. We deliver it straight to your inbox every day. So you can sign up for that at anewmode.com/subscribe. Okay, let's get into it. First, I want to make a quick point about conversations and dating in general. A conversation isn't meant to impress the other person. It is to discover the other person. Dating is a discovery process. It is a data gathering process. You are gathering data about this other person to decide if you want to go on another date, if you want to continue seeing that person. It is not about talking yourself up and making a case for yourself and trying to impress them and dazzle them with how amazing you are and how witty you are and how good you are at the flirty banter. That's not what it's about. It's about discovering them. So that's an important mindset shift just to consider when you go into a date. Most people don't take this approach, and that's why dating can feel so stressful and so overwhelming and just like some burden that you have to bear. A lot of people just don't see the fun in it because there is a lot of pressure when all you're trying to do is impress the other person and win them over, and when you feel like there's so much at stake and your emotions are so fired up. The best thing you can do is go in without any images of who the other person is or what they're about, and without trying to make yourself seem a certain way to win them over. Instead, see him as a blank piece of paper and let him fill in that space. When you can just be, dating becomes much more enjoyable. Okay, now let's get into the questions. Number one, if you woke up tomorrow with no fear, what would you do first? Pretty much all of us are held back by fears. Fear of failure, fear of embarrassment, fear of losing money, fear of making the wrong decision. But what if we could abandon those fears? What would you do? This is a really fun question to think about, and his answer will be very telling. Number two, what is one mistake you'll never make again? Mistakes are what shape us and help us grow, but some are best to never be made again. What are some of his? What are some of his mistakes that really shaped who he is and the mistakes that he tries with all his might to never do again? This answer is also something that will reveal a lot about him. Number three, what is one thing you're most proud of? So on A New Mode here on this channel and on the website, I talk to you guys a lot about how every man has a mission. Every man has a purpose. And what determines his overall happiness and satisfaction in life is if he's living a life that is in alignment with that. So this answer will really reveal that to you. It will really tell you what he values, what's important to him, and what he wants to achieve out of life. And going further, when a woman can tap into those areas of a man's life and really show interest and appreciation for it, that is what gets him to really open up to her and bond with her and connect with her. And that's what makes him see her as a woman who's a bit different than the rest. So this is a really important question. Number 4, does spending time with other people make you feel energized or drained? Essentially, the question here is, are you an introvert or are you an extrovert? But I like to frame it this way because a lot of people get confused about what it means to be an introvert or extrovert. And they assume that an extrovert is just someone who's like outgoing and talkative, and an introvert is someone who's withdrawn and shy. But that's not the case. And guys would always get this so wrong about me because everyone assumes that I'm an extrovert, but I am super introverted. I'm just an outgoing introvert. I would way rather be home, and being around people is exhausting for me. So people are always wrong about this. So that's why this is an interesting question to ask, because really what distinguishes an introvert from an extrovert is how you feel around other people. Extroverts feel charged and energized when they spend time with other people. Introverts feel very drained by it. This is also a good question because sometimes an introvert and extrovert can clash in a relationship. I mean, I'm an introvert, my husband's an extrovert, but it totally works for us because I'm fine with him going out without me. And he's not the type who's like, no, you have to come with me anytime I want to go anywhere. And he wants to be around people all the time. I do not. And sometimes I'll go and we'll hang out with the people and it'll be fine and I'll enjoy it. But he needs a lot more people time than I do, but we're both totally okay with it. I'm totally okay with like being by myself sometimes, and he's okay with like, me not coming along all the time. So we can meet in the middle. But some people aren't like that. Some extroverts want someone with them. They want a partner with them for all their, fun adventures and whatever the case may be. So anyway, it's a good thing to talk about. Number 5, what is one thing you do as often as possible to feel alive? Everyone has that one thing that makes them feel alive, that puts them in touch with their essence, that gives them this feeling of, I was put in this world to do this thing. Now, some people are lucky and doing that thing is their job. Maybe they write or they paint or they dance or whatever the case. Other people have to make time and carve out special time to do that thing. But we all have it. So ask him about his. What that thing is usually very telling about who we are and what's important to us and what matters. This is a great jumping off point for getting to know him and having really interesting conversations. Number 6, is it in your plan within the next few years to settle down and start a family? Now, only ask this if that's the place where you're at. Like maybe you're not ready to start a family, so then you would change the question to, is it in your plan within the next few years to settle down, be in a serious relationship, whatever the case may be. This is a much better way of putting it than what most women do, which is, so are you looking for a relationship right now? Are you looking to get married right now? Because to that, a guy would say, yeah, I'll get married when I find the right girl, when the time is right, like he'll give you some generic answer like that. It's not really gonna tell you anything. Also, that question comes across as kind of needy. It comes across as being from a place of having an agenda, which if you watch my other videos on here, you know that is never a good thing. You never want to come at a guy with an agenda and forcing your agenda upon him. That will always work against you. So with this question, you're basically letting him know what's in your vision for the next few years, and you want to make sure that he's on the same page as you. And this is really, really important because you don't want to waste your time. You don't want to waste his time on a dead end. So you don't want to assume that a guy wants what you want. It's really important to just get a sense of where his head is at. And again, like there's no pressure with this because you're like, is it in your plan for within the next few years? You're not saying, are you gonna commit to me within the next few months? You just wanna know where his head is at. Number 7, what do you do to better yourself? This is a much better question than what do you do for fun? What do you do to relax? What do you do to grow as a person? This is really important because I think the most important quality to look for in a man is if he's growth oriented. You want to be with someone who's always striving to be a better boyfriend, to be a better husband, to be a better father. The worst types of people are the I am the way I am types of people. So take it or leave it. When you're with that kind of person, then there will never be room for growth, and he will never hear you out when you make a suggestion for how he could be a better partner to you or be better in life. And anytime you have a complaint about the way that he is, he'll just always say, well, this is who I am and this is what you signed up for, so it's your problem. You really need to look for someone who is always looking for ways to grow. So see what he says. Does he listen to podcasts? Does he read self-help books? Does he, exercise, work on his body? Does he meditate? What does he do to make himself better? Number 8. What's something that you are glad you will never have to do again? Most of us have gone through something that made us better in the end, made us grow as people. And a lot of the times we would rather never go through that experience ever again, as important as it was for our development. So what's his story? What hurdle did he have to overcome to get to a better place? This question can really take you to some deep and interesting places. Number 9, if you inherited $1 billion, what would you do with your life? Most of us are confined to a certain extent. We're confined by money. Money dictates so much of our lives. Where we live, what we eat, where we go, what we do, how we spend our time. So much of us are confined by money. Even if we love our jobs, we still have to do it every day to pay the bills. What if all of that was eliminated? What if all we had was the financial freedom to do whatever we wanted? What would we do? What would he do? This will tell you a lot about him. Is he a hedonist who would just live a life of pleasure, buy a yacht, buy an island, just, relax for the rest of his life? Is he an activist who would put his money towards good causes and really make some change in the world? This conversation is a lot of fun and it will tell you a lot about him. Number 10, what is something that never ends well? You're gonna get some funny stories with this one because there's a lot of directions you can go in. If he's having trouble, you can narrow it down a little bit. Like, what's something that never ends well in college? What's something that never ends well in a relationship? What's something that never ends well after a night of drinking? Number 11, do you believe that everything happens for a reason? Does he believe in destiny, or is life a series of random events? This thought-provoking question will reveal a lot about how he processes things. I also feel like this will show you if he's an optimist or a pessimist, because it's usually the optimist who thinks, well, everything happens for a reason, there's always a lesson to learn. The pessimist might be like, no, life is just a series of random, horrible events, one after the next, and you just have to get through it. So this will show you where he stands and how he interprets the things that happen in life. You'll also see what kind of person you're dealing with. Like, is he gonna fall into a pit of despair when things don't work out the way he wants them to? Or is he always gonna see the silver lining? These are important things to know about a person before you get too involved. Number 12, what would you immediately do differently if you knew that no one would judge you? We all hold back for fear of judgment, which is rampant these days. Judgment is like an epidemic. People are judgier than ever. So people aren't their full authentic selves because we have to kind of restrain ourselves for fear of judgment. Or maybe some people just don't care and do whatever. This will tell you what kind of person he is and who he really is deep down, what he would do if nobody out there would judge him or say anything harsh about it. Number 13, what is your favorite childhood memory? Anything related to childhood is bound to open up a wellspring of information. Our childhoods essentially shaped who we are as adults. And those memories, the good and the bad, had a huge impact on who he is today and what he values and what he wants and what he doesn't want in life. This question will probably bring out the happiest, most innocent time of his life, a time that he doesn't necessarily talk about that often, and it can take you in some interesting directions. Number 14, what is one behavior that makes even the hottest girl instantly unattractive? This is just an important data point because if you really like this guy, you don't want to do the thing that he says is a huge turnoff. And for every guy, it'll be something different. But most guys, I would say it's probably something like being negative, complaining too much, nagging. Anyway, it's just an important data point to log about him. Number 15, what has been the most embarrassing moment in your life so far? This will show you how comfortable he is with you. Now, if he really likes you, he's probably not gonna tell you the most embarrassing moment. He'll probably tell you like second or third place, or he'll probably pick the embarrassing moment that's like the funniest or something like that. Either way, this question is always fun, always brings up some really fun and funny stories, so it's always a good one to throw in there. So that is my list. What did you think? Do you like these questions? Do you dislike? If you want more, I literally have hundreds. I have written so many articles on this. I will link a bunch in the description box, so make sure to check that out. For more content, check out anumo.com. Sign up for our newsletter, anumo.com/subscribe. Follow me on Instagram @anumode, and I will see you in the next video.